All right. Well, hello to all of our Neighborhood Leadership Academy folks, and glad you've tuned into the video here to learn a little more about the grants that are available through NLA and the grant process. And we have our resident expert with us. Uh, Anna is the graduate assistant who is helping with Neighborhood Leadership Academy and has a wealth of other professional experience, but she is our go-to person on grants, our guru. So, uh, Anna, have you done your stretches and are you all ready to go through this whole topic?
We'll do our best. We'll do our best.
The application process is coming up soon. Tell us kind of what that looks like and what people can expect and what they need to prepare for.
Yeah, so we're really excited about the mini grant opportunity. We've done it for several years, and it's just a really cool way to kind of jumpstart different projects across the state. Every year we have the opportunity to give those grants to a max of $2,500, but if you're doing a smaller project, it could be a smaller dollar amount that you're requesting. And then we have a budget for the number of grantees. It's about 20, but it again depends on the amount that people request. In terms of the application process, there's a written application where you answer those 5 or 6 questions via a Google document, and you upload your budget. So an itemized budget of how you would spend the money that you would like to receive, as well as explaining how it will impact your community and all of those questions. You'll turn that in near the end of the class. So you'll have that opportunity. The committee will review those in mid-December, and then the finalists or the people who receive those grants will find out near the end of the year and return their paperwork by early January.
Okay, so long process there, but well worth it. And you mentioned that the application is actually done through a Google form, so easy, would you say? User friendly?
I would say it is as easy as like typing in some boxes.
Well,
Um,
that's good news.
and the work that you're doing in the class to kind of like think through the impact of your program, how you would do it, that will give you your answers. And then you really just type them up. The one note I want to make for everyone is that you'll also have the opportunity to share your project with your cohort. But the committee does not review those presentations. They only review like what you turn in.
But the work that you put in to making a great presentation is the same type of work and content that helps make a great application as well.
Exactly.
The work is not lost. The effort is not lost. So as you're, typing up your notes for the presentation, there's probably a question that relates to that in the Google form.
Mhm. Yes. And typically, like you get some feedback from your cohort during your presentation. So
Mm.
then you can say, ooh, I want to add that and make sure that's very clear when I apply for this grant opportunity.
Yeah, that's a great point. And so this year is pretty typical. What we have 45 in the hybrid group and 20, 25 in St. Louis meeting face to face. So that same group, everyone in that group will be eligible to apply for a grant. That's who your competition is. I don't know what percentage of people apply. It seems like it's pretty high every year.
It really depends on the year. I think last year we had about 37 applicants.
Wow, that's great.
Hmm.
And it seemed like the committee would, um, really look closely at maybe not having duplicate projects, trying to spread the money out across the state and stuff as much as possible. Um, but I imagine there's like a rubric or something that's used too to judge these applications as
Yeah,
well.
great question.
You you're
Um,
the guru of the rubric, so can you go through that with us a little bit?
yeah. Let me pull it up, I believe. Or I'll just share. There's kind of four main categories. Project will have a positive impact in the NLA leaders community. Participant has the capacity to successfully complete their project within 1 year. Budget is reasonable. Project would otherwise not be possible without this grant. And many of the people on the committee are NLA graduates. So they have gone through NLA. They're very familiar with those community building principles. They like to see those kind of play out in the project. And many of them at one point, maybe even received a mini grant or try their hand at it.
We can make that available or make a link available to that rubric probably in the notes section of the video. I would
Mm-hmm.
guess it'd be fine to share that so people know knowledge is power and help you do a better
Mm-hmm.
job on your application as well. Well, what are some other tips that you have for us on doing the application?
A good question. I'm going to go ahead and bring that up as well. I'm going to bring up a sample, I believe.
Hmm.
So these are some of the questions. You write down your cohort, statement of the community issue, need, or problem. So you really describe that in detail, 150 words or so.
Maximum. That could almost be like your sticky statement plus another
Mhm.
sentence. I mean, 150 words is pretty short.
Yeah, definitely. And there's a suggestion about like using some data if possible to document the need and the opportunity.
Hmm.
But just like David said, that sticky thing, that why your project is needed is really important. Project goals and anticipated outcomes, how you'll implement it. So this part is really important. Like we know in community building, it's sometimes like messy, like it's those conversational meetings. Like that's kind of where you talk about that. Like I have this goal, but to get there, I'm going to have these kind of pre-meetings, like gather stakeholders, invest people in at this neighborhood event or this. And so to make it possible. And then you do your evaluation and planning for the future. How do you determine success? What does that look like? And then you describe the 3 community building principles that you're incorporating in your plan.
Those are the
Um,
principles from our guide, from our manual.
exactly. Yes. Like that, community building is local or and then everyone submits this report, but then if you are doing the grant, then you include these questions as well, like that budget option.
So we do want everyone to complete the form in the class in NLA. And then if you're wanting to apply for the grant, there's just a couple additional buttons there at the bottom to include.
Yep, mostly just that budget piece.
Okay.
Like if you're
So
doing
just
a project, if you're just doing your NLA end of year report, then you don't need a budget.
help people keep that in mind. Yes, you have to do a presentation to your class. Yes, you do need to submit this through our form. And if you want to apply, click a few extra buttons. Now, if
Mhm.
they do receive an award, there's a few things to keep in mind about the checks or about that process as well. What's some advice you can give us?
Yeah, so one thing that to note is that when you receive the check, who receives it is really important in terms of tax for the university. So because these are grants, um, it's money given to you and it can be counted as taxable income. Now, what that means is that it looks like income and then you'd pay tax on it. So a way that you can avoid that is to partner with a local 501c3 organization. So let's imagine you're working closely with your neighborhood association for a neighborhood project, like I know people have talked about gardens or community centers or those spaces, like buffing those up. That would be a great place that maybe the neighborhood association has an account and they can store your check and allow you to access it for your funds. And there are a number of different organizations who do that. Maybe like the place you work is a 501(c)(3) and it's kind of work related, so they're able to do that.
There's
Um,
been a
in some places, there's also like extension councils who can help out, but that is variable.
yes. Yeah, it depends. That's a county by county decision right
Hmm.
there. But and I know speaking of our county, when we do that, then that is we use those funds as a reimbursement.
Hmm.
We're not going to turn around and write you a check for the whole amount, but as you spend it on your project, we'll reimburse your expenses. Or if you have a bigger item that needs purchased, we'll purchase it out of that account. But you just can't let those monies come back into your hands because then it becomes taxable income.
Right.
So that's what we're wanting to help
Hmm.
people avoid. All right. Well, any other suggestions before we go to help be successful with our applications and our grant?
I think one tip is just to have like somebody read over your project before you turn it in
Mm,
for your grant. Get another set of eyes on it. If you don't include all that language in your presentation, right? Like make sure it makes sense when somebody reads it so that they can see the power of your project and the impact that it will have on your community because they only know what you write. They don't know your history, your passion, and we want all these projects to happen. So
that's the big joy out of this, isn't it? I mean, I love the people in Neighborhood Leadership Academy, but some of the projects that have been completed, the impact it's made, whew, that
it's
gets
so
me
cool. I
excited.
mean, I like personally would love to like, coach every single person to help them get it because they're such great projects. And we want them, I personally would like us to have unlimited grant funding. That's not possible right now, but it'd be so cool.
It would be so cool. Well, we want those who do apply, we want them to do their very best, and best of luck to everybody. Hopefully, this little tutorial opportunity has been a help to anybody, and they can always reach out to their cohort facilitator if they have additional questions. All right, Anna, thank you for your time.
Yep. Thanks, David.